Hi guys, welcome to one more webinar from Telerik India. This is a series of webinars that we have been doing for targeting the APAC region, India, all the APAC region. Yeah, in the same endeavor, today we're going to be looking at what's new in Visual Studio 2013. As you know, Visual Studio 2013 is going to be coming out on November 13th. We have a virtual launch. Anybody can participate. If you just go to Microsoft website, you will get a calendar invite. So it's a virtual launch, meaning anybody from anywhere can just get online and then see the virtual launch. So today I'm going to be just taking a look at some of the things that I as a developer like pretty much in this Visual Studio 2013. So this is the roadmap for today. Nothing much. It's fairly simple stuff. Within an hour I want to just cover some of the things, like I'll just do some introduction about myself. If you have been a regular, you will know who I am, but for the benefit of new guys who are in this webinar for the first time, I'll just introduce myself. Then we're going to look at four key things that I as a developer is very kind of interesting for me. One is a new start experience. Now Visual Studio gets into something known as connected experience. So I'm going to show you that. Of course, out of the box, Visual Studio comes with 3 themes now. I'm a big fan of these themes. I used to, way back in 2010 and 2012 days, people used to write. There is a website completely dedicated to color schemes of Visual Studio. I was one of the earliest guys who jumped on that, and then everybody, my peers are like, what is that color? And so my background used to be dark, my variables used to be green. I used to use a color scheme, and then people didn't know what that exactly is. How did Visual Studio suddenly change? But we will see how Visual Studio 2013 provides out of the box 3 themes. Then, of course, the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to is this something known as editor improvements. Way far better improvements in the editors like HTML editor, the CSS editor, the JavaScript editor, general editing, the C# editing editor, all those things. There are tons of improvements there. And then one of my favorite topic is ASP.NET. So we're going to be looking at how Microsoft is streamlining the ASP.NET development itself. So without much further ado, let's start. You may have a question on your mind. Who am I? So I think there's a slight lag in the way the slides are coming to you. So I'm just looking at and then trying to adjust my speaking. So who am I? My name is Lohit GN, or G stands for my ancestral place, and then N stands for my father's name. So I'm Lohit GN. I'm a Microsoft MVP and also an MCP. I work as a developer evangelist for Telerik in India. This is my official email ID, lohit.nagaraj@telerik.com. So anybody who wants to get in touch with me, what they can do is they can pretty much write me an email at lohit.nagaraj@telerik.com. I'm also available on Twitter. It's Kashyapa. It's Kashyyapa. So if you are on Twitter, you can just tweet to me at Kashyyapa. I write my own blog I have my own blog. It's kashyapas.com. So I couldn't get Kashyapa, so I just had to add a character. So it's kashyapas.com. I also blog at telerikhelper.net. This is a site where myself and my colleagues we keep writing. This website is pretty much more of, as the name goes, Telerik Helper. We kind of tend to write how to do certain things using Telerik technologies. So these are some of the bookmarks that you may want to do. Okay, now let's coming back to the webinar itself. So first one that we're going to be looking at is new start experience. So what does this mean? So first time when you install 2013, you're going to be seeing some changes to 2012. So I have here, okay, let me close this solution. So what you see here is Visual Studio 2013. The first thing that kind of struck me was just have a look at the menu bar, the toolbar in the Visual Studio itself. It's so small now. I mean, basically the tons of items that were there in 2012. If you go ahead and then open it 2012 on your systems now,
I won't open it 2012 now, otherwise my system will go down in memory. So I already have 2013. I have a lot of things going on in my laptop, so it's going to tend to say like, it's getting slower. But what I would suggest is if you are taking this webinar from your desktops, like for example from your let's say you're in an office or in a home or whatever. So what you can do is you can pretty much open up Visual Studio 2012 and then don't create any new projects or anything. Just have the start page or whatever that comes up. Just let it have let it be at that, and then take a look at what you're seeing now on the screen. The menu bar is so much cut down in terms of the items. I think Microsoft, every time they go out for a release, they tend to look out how much of the millions of menu items that are available within Visual Studio, how much is used. You wouldn't believe that it's less than 5%, meaning I think it is close to 5% is what Microsoft says. I don't know the exact number, but it's very, very low. That is, out of the million menu items that are available in Visual Studio, a developer uses only a single-digit percentage of the items, in their day-to-day job. So what they did was they went ahead and then they cut down many things in the menu, the toolbar, and then just added, only small number of items. Now I talked about connected or the new start experience. So at this moment when I'm running this webinar, I've already logged into this particular Visual Studio, so that's why we don't see that first time there is a dialog that will come up. But I would like to point you to one specific thing here. If you notice here, now we have something known as you have to sign in. On the right hand side it shows my public profile. This is the profile that I have on my live account, Microsoft account, as we can say, Microsoft Live ID. So how did it know that this is Lohit? It shows my name, and it also is able to show my picture. That's because for the first time when you launch Visual Studio 2013, it will actually ask you, hey, can you sign in? Do you have a Microsoft account? So this is the sign-in page that comes up. So if you see here, currently what has happened is I've already logged in. So I have my own TFS, TFS Online. Basically, this is the free. This is basically a free Visual Studio. This TFS Online is free for everybody. So those of you who are saying like, you're not able to hear my sound or it's very low or anything, don't worry. We will be recording this webinar, and then the audio on the webinar will be all right. If it is not all right, I will re-record this again and then upload it to the YouTube site that we have. Otherwise, I'm not sure. I think everybody is able to hear me clearly. As maybe some you guys who are saying you cannot hear me or it's very low, I would request you to check your audio settings once. Make sure the GoToMeeting is picking up the right speakers for you, and then the speaker volume mixer in your systems is adjusted correctly. So as I said, as of now, what I've done is I've logged into my personal account called kashyapa78@hotmail.com. So that's my Microsoft Live ID. What it does is I have my own TFS Online account. Basically, if you go to Visual Studio, tfs.visualstudio.com, anybody can get a free TFS online, and it supports unlimited projects, but 5 users is what it will allow, meaning on that particular account, meaning kashyapas.visualstudio.com is one account. So on that account, I can have only 5 users. So I cannot have more than 5 users, but I can have any number of projects. So it shows that I am currently logged into a team project called Indian Speed Post, whatever it is, and I'm connected as that. And then here in the bottom you see connect account settings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now go and then click on that account settings. So now you will see, an interesting thing. So what it does is it shows a user information, and it says, hey, you are so-and-so guy, and then also it has a link for Visual Studio profile, and then also link for sign out, and then it shows me all my, basically the licensing information, all those stuff. So let me go ahead and then click on Visual Studio profile. Now what it's going to happen, I have already clicked on Visual Studio profile. My Internet Explorer is now launching. So what it does is it just goes and then shows you that Microsoft is actually kind of storing your information, so you can actually go ahead and then, and not only that, you can actually look at the this information that it knows. Using my Microsoft Live ID, I'm actually member of these two other TFS projects, so v.net.visualstudio.com. One of my friend, his name is Senthil, so he has his own TFS online. So I'm part of those two, TFS. Plus, I have my own TFS. So I'm owner of this. I'm member of this. There's a question asking, is it mandatory to log in to Live ID for using Visual Studio 2013? No, it's not mandatory. It's up to you. But it's cool. When you come in here and then see all this stuff, like it's able to show you all these things. And then if you look at the Team Explorer, it pretty much knows which team project you're connected to and all those things. It doesn't need to, so you can see this is the Team Explorer. So now it can actually show me everything, my workspace, everything. Of course, in an enterprise scenario, you may not be logging into the Live ID, but rather you'll be logging into your own TFS accounts or TFS user ID password that you have. That's fair enough. It's up to you. But this is something new. This is not as a connected. I'll tell you why you would need to log into the Live ID in just a moment. Just hang on for that. The limit of projects in tfs.visualstudio.com is unlimited, so you can pretty much create unlimited projects, any sort of project. It's a source control, basically. That's what it is. Now, here's the interesting thing. I don't know why the smileys are not coming, so let me show you this. So there are two things here that you can see here. The first one is this is the feedback mechanism tool, and then the second one is a notification center. So this is the notification center. Remember, in 2012, we used to get a balloon in the task manager. Basically, whenever there was a new item or something that Microsoft pushed an update, the balloon would just come up and then in your taskbar and then say, hey, Visual Studio has a update. Now that's all it would say. It wouldn't tell you what exactly is the update or anything. So now that notification is getting kind of going away. The balloon is going away. Rather, within Visual Studio, now we're going to have a notification center. Of course, I don't have any notifications. I will, in a moment, I'll show you a notification that comes up here. And what Microsoft is saying is, if there is any notification for Visual Studio, it's going to come in here. Once you dismiss it, they're never going to pop up that particular notification again, because you have already seen it and then you have dismissed it. Rather, compare this to Visual Studio 2012. Every time I'm opening my Visual Studio, the balloon will just keep on coming. It's like a nagging. I know I have seen it, but I don't want to do it, install it now. But with this, if you just dismiss it once, it's never going to come back unless there is another new update that Microsoft will push. And let's say, how many of you have gone ahead and then registered maybe a feedback to Microsoft? We keep, as an MVP, we are connected with all the product teams. I have a mechanism to go ahead and then tell the product team that, hey, something like this broke. Couple of 3 days back or 4 days back, I was installing Azure SDK 2.2. And then, once that got installed, I just went into Visual Studio, but I couldn't see the Windows Azure node in my Server Explorer. So I just went ahead and then wrote a mail to Scott Hanselman and said, hey, I'm not able to see. Is something wrong? So he said, try this, try that. So we have a mechanism to do a feedback as an MVPs, but you guys, as a general developers, now it becomes easier now. So if you just click on this feedback mechanism, so now you see here, it says send me a smile or send me a frown. Basically smile means you are happy about a particular feature of Visual Studio. So go ahead, just send a smile to Microsoft Visual Studio and say, hey, you know what, I like this particular feature, thank you. It's a pat on the back to them. So I keep doing that. And then send a frown is like, okay, you know what, I was doing this, Visual Studio crashed. So yeah, go ahead, send them that, and then so that they know what's happening and that you don't like this particular feature or anything. And then, of course, look at this. You can now report a bug directly from Visual Studio. This is the biggest thing for me. I would have to go through a lot of hoops to file a bug for Visual Studio, but now I just have to click on this. So if I click on, let's say, send a smile, and then I say, I like the connected experience.
I can just send that. And then look at this. It also has the capability to include screenshot. It automatically takes a screenshot. And then you can either you can include your email address, otherwise you can just send it as is, as an anonymous thing. So if you see here, it says, by including your email, we can contact you about your feedback if we have any questions, meaning you just created a feedback, but they want more information, so they will write to you on your email. So that's about filing the feedback. Now somebody asked about, is it necessary for me to log into what do you call the live account? So here's the thing I'm going to talking about. So Visual Studio 2012 introduced this concept of quick launch. I don't know how many of you have use this, but the idea of quick launch is just simple. Quickly launch something. What if I want to quickly go to keyboard settings on my so what I can do is I can pretty much click Control Q anywhere when in my layout. It will go to quick launch. I can just say keyboard. Okay, so now you can see, like, it just goes ahead and then finds out whatever matches this particular thing. So I want to go to environment and then keyboard. I can just click on that now. So it will now open up the options and then point me to that particular item that I was actually searching for. That's keyboard, right? So it just goes ahead and then does that. Not only that, this is one of the biggest thing that I'm happy about. Notice this little glyph here. Now the tools option window is draggable. I can can you see this? I just extended the whole tools option window. I can just go ahead and then make it bigger now. So go ahead to Visual Studio 2012 and then try to do this. You cannot do this. It's only part of the Visual Studio 2013. So now they're able to, they're given you an option to resize the tool options window, which we have been asking for a lot of, quite some time now. So that's the quick launch. Now, there's another interesting thing that Visual Studio is trying to do. I am one of the power users, meaning basically what I do is I have my own settings for the keyboard. I have my own settings for the scroll bar. I have my own settings for code, all those things. I want the line numbers. I want the tabs. I never, so this is a tip for all the developers out there, never ever enable tabs. You have to say replace the tabs with spaces. That is because, different editors have different tab lengths. One tab is equal to 2 spaces for somebody, one tab is equal to 4 spaces for somebody. So the tab, if you use a tab when you're doing the source control, you start seeing a lot of mismatch in the file itself. So it's always better to replace tabs with spaces. So I keep doing all these settings. When I'm in my office, I have my office laptop. When I come home, I have my personal laptop. But I want the same Visual Studio settings available for me everywhere. So what do? So now Visual Studio introduces this concept of synchronized settings. So all you need to do is go to quick launch, just type sync, and here is what I'm talking about. So it says when signed into Visual Studio, you can synchronize your settings across multiple machines. Okay. This literally happens. So what are the things it can synchronize? It can synchronize your appearance. It can synchronize your environment aliases. It can synchronize your keyboard shortcuts if you have specific startups, and then text editor settings. Okay. Now what you see here is a theme called blue, but I'm going to go ahead and then change this theme to, okay, let me quickly show you something. I have a Azure, this is a VM that I'm running on Windows Azure. This is basically a VM which has Visual Studio 2013. So this is like a server. So it's a 2012 server. So it contains Visual Studio 2013. So what you see here is Visual Studio. So as you can see, it was dark, but it became, it's now going to the light theme. That is because I have synced my local desktop to be on a blue theme. So now I'm going to show you this. So let me keep this particular item as is. I'm going to close down the Visual Studio. Let's try to create a scenario that, I am in Office. In Office, what I did was I went to theme, and then I want the dark theme. If you see here, now we have color themes available, and then you can select from blue, dark, and light. So I'm going to select a dark theme now, and then I will say show don't whatever, show items shown in window menu, all those things. I'll keep it as is, but I'm going to show you in a minute what happens with this. So now when I change my dark theme, so now I'm in Office. So this whole Visual Studio is now going to turn it into a dark theme. So there you go. It's taking a little bit of time for the lag between this. So there you go. So you see that in my Office, my theme was dark. Okay, now I go back home. So this is the Azure VM that I have. As you can see here on the top, you see cache vm1.cloudapp.net. Just let me show you. Okay, my Zoom it won't work here. So now I'm in my home, and then I open up my Visual Studio. Since in both the places I was signed in with my Visual Studio account, you will see that the Visual Studio here automatically changes itself to dark theme. That is because I have synced my settings now. Okay, this is something new that for the Visual Studio guys, but we at Telerik, we already had something known as JustCode Cloud Settings, meaning JustCode is an individual productivity tool, and then a year back we already implemented this concept wherein JustCode allows you to change certain keyboard settings, all these things. So what we had done was we had given you a mechanism to save your JustCode settings on our Telerik cloud. So it's pretty much similar. All it is doing is taking the Visual Studio setting, keeping it one place, and then when I'm coming back here to my home laptop and then I open up Visual Studio, all it does is it knows who I am because I already logged in. So you can see that here also I have the right hand top corner. If you see the top right hand corner, I have my same name and then my image coming up because I have logged in to my Microsoft Live ID account on this Visual Studio also. So it knows that, hey, there is a setting synchronized, so we need to apply it down here. So let me close down. So that's it for the VM. So let me go back and then get the theme to blue. I like the blue theme. Somehow the white doesn't, motivate me. So the blue is winning. So that's the new. So that's three things that we looked at. Basically the connected experience wherein you are logging into Visual Studio, the quick launch, the synchronized settings, and then the the feedback mechanism. So that's pretty much what the new stuff is all about. You can sign into Visual Studio with your Live ID, seamless movements between the system, machine, sync settings across the devices, get up and running faster. So let's say you are installing new Visual Studio on your machine got formatted, but now with this sync settings, what all it does is it's already stored in the cloud, meaning Microsoft Cloud, and then it's going to just sync and then just get you the same settings that you had before. So themes, I brief talk about themes. So this is the kind of experience that you will get when you're logging into the first time. It says welcome, sign into Visual Studio. You can say not now, maybe later, and then it will ask you, okay, start with your familiar environment. Remember we used to get a different dialogue with 2012 and then 2010 and all those things. But with this now, it automatically shows you the theme that we have out of the box and also the familiar environment. So I just keep it to C# development environment, and then I can select blue, dark, or light, and then I just say start Visual Studio. This is seen only when it is the first time that you're launching your Visual Studio. I can see that afterwards. So these are the three different, these color themes that you get. What you see on the front is a blue theme, the back is a white theme, and then the for the back is the dark theme. I like the dark theme, but for some reason I am not fascinated to get into the dark theme. So this is something that has been done out of the box. There's a lot of I think the survey done as to what are the themes that should be kept. So people said, okay, we need the blue theme, which was there earlier. We also need the white theme. Anyway, that's the standard. Also, we need a dark theme. So that's what this is all about. So now let's jump into one of the coolest things that we're going to look at, the editor improvements. Some of the editor improvements we're going to look is general editor improvements, the HTML editor, JavaScript, and then CSS. So let me come back to my Visual Studio. I have a small application, but I'll just use this to talk about certain points that have been done in the Visual Studio itself. The first and foremost thing is the enhanced scroll bar. If you notice my scroll bar, this is something that you don't see in normally out of the box in Visual Studio. This is known as an enhanced scroll bar. Notice my right hand side, I'm able to scroll, and then actually I can visualize what is there. I can peek. This is the scroll bar. This is not the standard
bar type of scroll bar, but rather this is an enhanced scroll bar. So I can just right click on this scroll bar and then I go to scroll bar options. This is where you have the news. It's known as a map mode. What it does is it maps your whole class file on the scroll bar itself, and then when you do a mouse over on that, it basically shows you a map of that particular section, meaning the map here is nothing but the code itself. And then you also have the concept of show preview tooltip or not, and then also if you see here, what are the different types of overviews that I have for this? So I have a narrow, I have a medium, I have a wide. So let me give a wide and then see what happens. So if I say wide, here you can see that now. So I have a big, the scroll bar takes up a big space now. So I can just come back here, right click on this, and then I can say like, no, I don't want the wide, I want a narrow, that's okay. I just want a small one, so I can get a small one too. So that's the enhanced toolbar. So basically if you see here, you will be able to notice that it has this LO's line coming up. So it's known as an annotation. So LO means these lines have been modified. If I go ahead and then put a breakpoint somewhere in the bottom of the page, let's say I'm putting 2 breakpoints, 3 breakpoints or whatever. Let's put it one more here. So now you can see on my cursor in the top of the class, but now look at the enhanced scroll bar. You see this maroon annotation here. It says, hey, this portion of the code file, there is a breakpoint. That's what it's doing. So the split modes are still supported. You can just go here on the top and then just do this, whatever you want to do that. So it will automatically split it into 2 regions or whatever. I'm not a big fan of the split because somehow I have 2 monitors, so I'll put one code file. I hope you guys know this. I can just undock each file as a standalone window. So as you can see here, this is out of Visual Studio. Now I can just double click and then I can just get my the whole page coming up. So somebody is asking, where is the breakpoint? The breakpoint is at the very bottom of the page. There is a very specific intentionally, I've kept spaces here so that just to make sure that this code file is so long, but the scroll bar will be able to actually show you that there's a breakpoint. Not only that, just do a mouse over on that particular position. It will be able to give you a peek of that code. It's doing a preview of the code at that particular position. If you see here, I can just go down and then it will show you that, hey, look at this. This is the preview of that code at that particular position. So you may be anywhere, but you can do a quick preview. So now let me go back, stick it inside the Visual Studio. So that's about the enhanced scroll bar. Now there is something called peak definition. So this is something new. Notice this gray color text which says 0 references, right? So this is known as a peak code lens kind of things, or peak definition. So basically what it's happening is it's actually telling me, is there anybody referencing myself? So just for the demo sake, what I've done is I have a class called models, and then it has a function called do work, and then do work is going to go and then call foo, and then foo has a do foo, so it goes and then calls the do foo. So if you see the foo class, it has a do foo, but it goes and then creates a bar, and then it goes and says do bar. And then if you look at the class file for bar has a do bar, and then it goes and then creates a foo bar, and then it says do foo bar, and then do foo bar does nothing but console.writeLine, right? Now, how many of you have felt like, I have to get right click and then go to definition, oh man, and then it opens up another file, and then that is calling another class, so that will open up another file, that is calling another class file, that will open another file. So you'll be thinking like, oh, there will be 3 or 4 class file that we would need to open, right? So that's pretty much what till 2013 was the case. With 2013, I can just right click on do foo and then say, hey, I want to pick the definition of this particular function. So I just have to say, just right click on any function and say, show me a peek of the definition, just say peek definition. So I will say right click on this. So I'm right clicking on do foo, and then I'm saying peek definition. There you go. Did you see this? it's going to come up in any moment in your screen. So there you go. So what you see here is peaking the definition of this particular method. So it's showing, it may be anywhere, in my case it's in the same class file but somewhere in the bottom, but that doesn't matter. Not only that, can you look at the enhanced scroll bar on this peak definition? It's able to pinpoint where exactly is this code file, where exactly is this code block in the code file. So that's what the peak definition does. That's fine, but this do foo is going and then calling do bar. So what do I do for that? So nothing. Right click on do bar and then say peak definition. Now something happened. Did you guys see? It went into do bar. Now notice this here. What it does is it's maintaining a chain of wherever I have gone. It's like, okay, previously I went into do foo. From do foo I went into do bar. Do you see this movement here happening? So it's showing, it's keeping that chain as is, but I don't have to go out of my particular code file that I was actually looking at. Now do far is also, so do bar goes and then calls do foo bar. So let's go and then see what is a do foo bar. Wow. So staying in a same place, from do foo I went into looking at the definition of do foo. From do foo I went into looking into definition of do bar. From do bar I was able to get into the definition of do foo bar. Now notice these 3 lines here that are showing. This is the chain that it maintains. Now I can cycle back. Okay, do bar, do foo, or do foo to do bar to do foo bar. So this is something that is highly exciting for me because I don't have to jump between places. I can just keep looking at that. Not only that, I can just go in and then say, okay, peak definition for console. It will go into the base class library and then show you that particular metadata then and there itself. How great is this? So this is what Visual Studio 2013 is going to give you. It's known as the peak definition. Now, so that's about the peak definition. Not only that, how many of you have you wanted to know who is referencing this or all those things. So this is known as a code lens. So look at this. So do bar has been referenced in one place, and that's at line number 41 in model.cs. Can you see this? So this is known as a code lens. So currently we are looking at code lens. So what it does is I'm checking the references of do bar. So it says, hey, in model.cs there's one reference for do bar, and that's on line number 41. So what I can do is I can pretty much come back here and then click on this, and then I can say, hey, can you show me where exactly is this happening? So it will actually my screen resolution, it's not able to show you guys. Okay, let me just get out of here. Okay, so just look at the right hand side now. It will be showing you completely what is that particular line of code where this is being referenced. How great is this? I mean, whenever you're doing something and then you wanted to know who is referencing, there you go. So just mouse over and then it shows you the exact line, exact file where this has been referenced. So that's what basically there are other lenses available. Let's check what are available here. So if I go to quick launch and then type lens, there you go. So quick launch, by the way, is very great. So these are the type of the code lenses that are available. It can actually show you test status, meaning let's say you're looking at a code file and then you have a property or whatever, and then, a function, and then that function has test cases written against that method. It can actually show you the status of the test from the TFS online or whatever it is, and then tested by. So it will show you what methods are testing this particular methods, and then authors, who wrote this particular thing, changes, bugs, work item, code reviews. So it's a fantastic feature that is there called code lens. Currently we are looking at only the references. That's because I don't have any test cases or anything written, or I'm not connected to TFS. So basically that's what the code lens is all about. You can pretty much click on that and then it will show you this. I can actually come back here and then see, like, okay, who is referencing this class file. So this class file is referenced in so and so place. So here's how the the line number 12, it's getting instantiated. So this code lens is another interesting thing. Not only that, There is something known as a navigate to. Basically, if you know the keyboard shortcut, there's a shortcut called Control Comma. So what it does is you can select a very specific word, and then so this is what the navigate will do. You see this? Sitting within the particular file, I just kept my cursor on a particular word called foo and then said control comma, and then now it's able to go ahead and then actually show me that there is a class called foo, there is a method which contains, or there's a class called foobar, it also contains the word foo, there is a method called dofoo, so it contains the keyword foo, and there is another method called dofoobar, it also contains the keyword foo. So which one do you want to navigate to? So it's asking me, where do you want to navigate now? So let me say, you know what, I want to navigate to dofoobar. So it will directly take me there. So it, of course, in this example, I'm just looking at a same, what do you call the window, but it can go in anywhere. For example, let's say we will go here and then keep our cursor on console, and then I say control comma. So now it picks up console. Can you see this? It's actually showing you, you see this? App data local temp, and then it's able to show the decompiled code, and it says, hey, this is available on this particular system.console.cs is the class file where the console object is present. So I can now go and then actually navigate to that. I can say, hey, navigate to there. It opens up system.console.cs. It will be able to show me that console type. So that's something about navigate to. And here's another interesting thing that I would want to show. Let's say let me just clear up some things. What if we want the foo class coming on top of models? So how will you do it? Will you do control X and then control D? There's one more thing. I can move bunch of code up and down. All I did was I just selected this particular block of code, and then I'm using alt key and then up arrow, down arrow. For example, look at this. I can actually I'm just keeping my caret or the cursor on this line which is saying bar.do bar, and then I can use alt key and then up arrow. Look at that. The line keeps going up or down. So you can use this this little bit. If you are working on something and then you just want to quickly move up and down, you can just do this. And another interesting thing is, we have been asking for this for quite some time. Let's say, there's something called as braces, correct? For example, I'm going to say like, func1. Now, when I press the brace, single brace, it will automatically complete the brace. So this is known as automatic brace completion. So you can actually control this. So what you need to do is go to quick launch and say brace. So it will actually take you to that particular text editor, all languages, and then here is the automatic brace completion. So if you don't want, you're not liking that it should automatically complete the braces, you can just turn it off. Otherwise, I'm a big fan of this, so we wanted this, so that's why they put it finally. So it automatically will complete the brace. So that's about the generic editor improvements. Now let's take a look at the HTML editor. So basically, general editor improvements. Now we're going to look at somebody is saying I need to go slow. We have just 15 minutes and then I still have a lot of things. So don't worry. As I said, this particular webinar is recorded. So just go with my flow. You can actually go back and then see the recording. You can pause it. Actually, you can have Visual Studio 2013 next to you. Pause the video. Just do what I did, and then you should be good to go that way. I'm just running behind the time now. I don't want to make the webinar run a 30 minutes post whatever it should be. So that's why I'm just a little bit hurrying. Otherwise, these are all simple stuff. So let's look at some of the HTML editor improvements. What I have here is a simple HTML file, index.html. So now one of the biggest things for me with Visual Studio 2013 is automatic tag completion. It doesn't matter whichever tag. When I type UL and then close it, it automatically completes the tag.
right? So I can just come back here and then say something. Did you see? The end tag is automatically updated. So this is the biggest thing for me as an HTML developer. I don't want to write my closing tag. You know what my tag is, so you should automatically complete it. So finally, Visual Studio 2013's HTML editor is able to do that. Not only that, I know for sure there are a lot many Angular fans maybe. So what Visual Studio 2013 brings is somebody is asking, will it work for XML? So let's try it out. So I will say XML. So there you go. So it just keeps writing. So if this is what you meant. Otherwise, if you're saying will it work in the XML editor, XML file, we would have to check that. I'm not sure about that. So now coming back to Angular. So let's say you are a big Angular fan, then you're working on Angular.js, and then within the Visual Studio 2013, what they have done is they have given this Angular directive. Now when I say ng dash, look at this. It will be automatically, let me, one second. My zoom it, I cannot show you zooming in because it's not able to. Okay, let me try this now. So when I go and then say ng dash, there you go. So it goes ahead and then, there's a lot of automatic completion available now, IntelliSense for this. So we can just come back here and then say ng app. You can just say my app or whatever. So a lot of this goodiness has been given for this. Now here's another interesting thing that I found it thing. So we have, let's say, do we have a style.css here? I don't have. Okay, I'll just go ahead and then add a link to a style sheet now. A link href equals, so this is social section.css. Then we need to say rel is equal to style sheet. Now look at the improvements that they have done for the style sheet. So let's say I want to come back here and then say class equal to, right? Now you get IntelliSense of of the CSS class names. I know I am trying to go and then figure out class. So there you see, if you see here, this is automatically giving me the again, hang on, I'll just get into live preview, and then I have to do this. So what I'm doing is I'm just saying div class is equal to. Now you can see that it goes ahead and then gives me IntelliSense for all the class names. These are all the class names. Okay. Now let's do another thing. You may ask, okay, this is class name, this is fine, but what about we may have certain IDs, right? So what I can do is I'll just go ahead and then say hash foo. I'm not going to do anything, hash bar, and then I'll have hash foo bar, right? Sorry. Hash foo bar, right? Now when I come back to the div, instead of class, I will say ID, and then now it will be able to go and then figure out all these things. So when I say ID is equal to, it will now go ahead and autocomplete, foo bar, there you go. So this is one of the biggest improvement that they have done. Now we don't have to remember what the class name or the ID name. It will automatically give you the IntelliSense of that. And here's another biggest thing that I like. If you remember all the HTML entities, for example, COPY semicolon or ampersand, AMP semicolon, and all the stuff, right? So what Microsoft has done is now they've given an easy way for us to remember. All you need to do is just go ahead and then type ampersand. There you go. Do this. It has all the HTML entities that you can think of. Now, if you are a HTML developer and then you need to know all the different HTML entities, there you go. You need to remember that now. I can just come back here and then say COPY, and then it auto-completes. I can just do ampersand AQ, ampersand AQ, and then control space. It will say, hey, this is interesting. Ampersand AC, there are three
things that match that. So I just did the control space thing that we all do with our code file. So similarly here, when you do this, it says, hey, there are 3 things. Which one do you want? I wanted to use the acute, so I can just use that. So that's what we have. And that's pretty much what some of the things that are there in things. So I don't have, okay, let me quickly do something. I want to show you an interesting stuff. So I'm going to create a new folder. I should have done it before. So I'm going to create a new folder called images. And then I'm going to just add a new image. So, oh, sorry, add existing item. So I'm going to just get into my pictures, and then I'm going to pick up an ASP.NET logo. Okay. Now, here's the interesting thing. So within Visual Studio now, when you get into, okay, my live preview is gone. I don't know if you guys can see this, but when I do a mouse over on that particular image in the Visual Studio Solution Explorer, it will be now able to show you a preview of what that image is all about. There you see now. Just keep looking at the right hand side in the Solution Explorer. I'm not doing anything, but I just did a mouse over on that particular image. It's able to show me the image preview. So that's pretty interesting, neat thing that they have given. Not only that, you can actually embed in base64 image also. So now that's about the Visual Studio, the HTML editor. Now let's get back to JavaScript editor improvements. So some of the JavaScript editor improvements are amazing now. How many of you wanted to actually see, let's say, I know that I'm using jQuery here. Let me increase the font size. Okay, I'm using simple jQuery stuff here. I'm just saying $window then .load, write a function. But I want to know what exactly is this function all about. So when I right click on this load and then say go to definition, notice this. Visual Studio says, hey, I can't go to the definition. The definition failed because the character is already or because an explicit definition could not be found. So Visual Studio just says, hey, I don't know, about this. So now here's the interesting thing. All I have done is I have a jQuery file in my the project. So I'm going to just drag and drop on the Visual Studio the jQuery file. So what it did was it created this single line which says reference path scripts. That's it. Now here's the magic that I want to show you. Keep looking at my cursor. So I'm going to go ahead and then say like $, and then just I'm going to do this. Do you see this now? It's giving me, okay, it's not refreshed on your end. So yeah, now it's refreshed. So you can see that, now I get the same C# type of IntelliSense within my JavaScript editor. So it's basically, it's telling me that jQuery's, $ function has 5 overloads. I can pass element, I can pass element array, blah, 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 all those things. Not only that, what I want to do is I want to look at this remove class. What exactly does this remove class do? So I can now select this particular function, right click, do an F12, or I can directly say go to definition. You will be amazed that it's going to show an IntelliSense file and then it will point right at the remove class functions. You see this signature? It's saying removes a single class. So these are all the overloaded files. So where is it coming from? It's basically coming from a file called IntelliSense.js. So basically when you can get a lot of these IntelliSense.js files. All you need to do is in Visual Studio 2013 you can just drag and drop and then it pretty much shows you all these things. That's a couple of improvements, overloads. The JavaScript in the Visual Studio is actually the IE's JavaScript engine, which is being used here within the editor. So that's why it's now ECMAScript 6 enabled. Basically, what it does is it lets you use like things like let,
CTR is equal to 0, and then I can go and then say for, or I can say like const x is equal to 100. So we can do a lot of all these things. Let me do a semicolon here. So yeah, so it's ECMAScript 6 compatible, so it understands pretty much all the ECMAScript 6 things. So now let's quickly jump to we have 5 minutes, so I'll try to see how I can try to wrap it up. So basically, let me skip this CSS. I want to talk about one ASP.NET. CSS editor is a small, simple stuff that they have done, but it is a neat one. But I want to talk about quickly in 5 minutes. What exactly is this one ASP.NET? Remember, in Visual Studio 2012, when you went ahead and then created a lot of, web application, you would had a lot of options which said like something like this. Previously in Visual Studio 2012, you had this concept of ASP.NET Empty Web, ASP.NET Web Forms, ASP.NET MVC4, ASP.NET Dynamic Data Entities, Ajax Server Control, blah, 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 all those things. The concept of one ASP.NET is simple. We just want to start by creating only one project or one application. Let's say it's a ASP.NET application. It cannot be anything else. So you just select ASP.NET application, click on OK, and there you go. Now what you can do is you can actually come back here and say, hey, I want to do something like this, and that is I want to base my application as web forms, but I want to use this capability of MVC or Web API within the web form. So that's what we can do. So this is what we pretty much call as one ASP.NET. That is, you just can come in and then say create a web forms, but I want MVC and Web API. Or I can come in and say I want to create MVC and I also want to have web forms and Web API. So there's a completely different mindset now. It's just one ASP.NET, but you can add the web forms capability or MVC capability or Web API capability or anything. You can just come back here and then say I want to create a Web API, but I also want support of web forms. So if you notice here, when I say Web API, it automatically selects MVC because it does work on pretty similar to the MVC stuff. But whereas when I select MVC, web forms and Web API are additional, I can select a Facebook. And in the Facebook application, I can actually go ahead and create a web form. So this is some of the things this is a major change in ASP.NET just from the tooling perspective, but the runtime has not changed. There's nothing significant changes in the page lifecycle or the way ASP.NET works or anything like that. So there's no changes there. It's just that Scott Hanselman, who is one of the principal program manager on the tooling division, he has been talking about this from quite some time. The whole notion of when you say I want to just create ASP.NET web project, but why am I being asked about do you want to do that, do you want to do that, do you want to do this? It's just one ASP.NET, but web forms, MVC, Web API, these are all capabilities that my web project can contain. Because mind you, web forms or MVC or Web API, there is an underlying ASP.NET core which is there, and then these are all just flavors on top of it. So there's nothing, they all should play along together. So that's what this is talking about. And plus, with Visual Studio 2013, the identity system has been changed. It's no more a SQL membership. Rather, it is using the OWIN-based identity system, which is much more flexible, and then it's like a plug and play. I can just plug this out and then put something else, and then still my identity will work. So all those things. Pretty much we have run out of time. I'm extremely sorry. So these are some of the cool things that I think are is necessary for you as a developer to know. I have just covered some of the core things that are there. You can always go to MSDN, and then the whole bunch of things are available. For ASP.NET, I would suggest please go to www.asp.net and then go to ASP.NET, and there is a section for ASP.NET Web Form. There's a section for MVC, and then you just have to pretty much use that.